jump in with this idea of, sometimes newer coaches look at people that have been successful around the business and say, hey, your daily activities have got to look very much different than mine. But so somebody jump in and say, here's what Amy, I'm going to start with you just because you're an Elite 10 coach, but from a daily activity standpoint, what does your day look like?
That changes constantly, and I think that's really helpful for me, is that I'm constantly evaluating how my day is going. Is it working for me based off my mood and my emotions and my results and my output, and how, and I think that's something that we just need to always just really make sure that as our business is evolving, which hopefully yours is because you're here, obviously you're having success, that you need to understand that like your life kind of needs to grow with it, and that we need to constantly be seeing like where do we need to switch our priorities, where do we need to spend more time, and my workout's not getting enough attention, does my nutrition need more attention, and we just constantly have to, evaluate and kind of, that wheel of life, and consistently look at our wheel of life and see like where do I need to like up my attention, take away some attention. And so a day in the life right now is like I've just been hitting my workout super, super duper hard, because I feel that anytime I'm in a lull with my business or mentally, that if I hit my nutrition and my fitness super duper hard, that everything just falls into place. And so that's how I start my day. I work, I take a break and lay in the sun, and then I come back and I work some
So
more.
let me stop you. When you say I work, what does that look like?
For me, working means I'm sitting at my desk and I'm answering emails and I'm answering messages and I'm responding to questions, and it's work. It's not like the fun stuff. It's the not so fun stuff that I have to sit at my desk and I have to work and type and respond and follow up and all the things that go into actually building the business, not playing on Snapchat and like posting social media photos. It's like the actual grunt work that goes behind actually building the business.
Does anybody else want to add what their day looks like?
For me, I have to get up early because I have 3 kids. And for me to be intentional with my time, I need that. And now, no, I don't love waking up at 5 a.m. But even when I was working, I had to make that sacrifice. So I would get up early, do my personal development, and I would dive right into building relationships, because I was like on my A game after I listened to personal development. Felt really good. So that's what I did. I started building relationships and my community by just reaching out to people and complimenting people. Complimenting them on what they're posting, or just, hey, how are you? I hope you have a great day. And that helped strike up conversations, which led into, my lunchtime when I could work again, or dinner time after I put the kids down, where I could reply to those messages and keep on building that relationship.
Anyone else?
I am a 5 a.m. person, and I do like it, which is odd, I know. But I find that if I press play, because at our core we're a health and fitness business, we change lives for health and fitness, period. So that needs to come first for me, because everything I do then transfers into the rest of my life. So if I can press play at 5:30, it sort of straight away in my day sets the tone for everything else that I can do. And I think it shows my challengers and my team that needs to come first. Personal development, answering email, all of that other stuff falls into place, but here I am in my fitness clothes. It's apparent that fitness is my jam, and that has to come first, because it so sets the tone the rest of my day. So a day in my life looks like a 5 a.m. alarm and a 5:30 pressing play.
May, you wanted to share something?
I think that we overcomplicate things. I think that maybe coaches think that the coaches sitting up here have some kind of secret sauce, and that we're doing something extra that we don't share, but really it is the vital behaviors, you guys. It was Scotty who said, if you're not doing the vital behaviors, then you're being selfish, because you're not being able to inspire other people. So for me, a day in the life of my Wazitsky is that I get up early because I want to be able to spend more time with my child. So getting up early means that I'm going to have more time with her later. And the brunt of my time goes into inviting, goes into responding back to messages, responding back to people who have commented on my page. and really loving on them, because that's where the relationships build, and that's what makes you stand out from other coaches.
Just a comment on the vital behaviors. The vital behaviors is not just this kind of cutesy little coined thing that we came up with. It actually came from some science focus on engaging in those things that create the greatest results at the end. And I'll never forget the time when it was Brett Blake at the time, and Carl and Mike and I were sitting in a room and saying, okay, we had all of these pieces that we were focusing on in reading this book about success and change. And this book was about the vital behaviors. And so we looked and said, what are the most critical pieces we can focus on that will create the greatest results? So when we talk about those, sometimes it's nice as you become acquainted with the language, and as you acquaint your new coaches with this terminology, they're going, what's the vital behaviors, type of thing, is to sit back and describe to them, here's why they are. Here's why they exist, to help them understand the why. Okay, we're going to keep moving on because we have lots of questions here. Carl started out this morning talking about limiting beliefs. Sometimes we have these limiting beliefs. I'm sure that none of you have ever had a belief that's limited you in any way, but if you were to talk about somebody else on the panel that maybe had a limiting belief and how you overcame that, what would that limiting belief be? Amy's giving me the stink eye over there. No.
I'll start, I guess. So I think limiting beliefs held me back before I became a coach. I wanted to become a coach, and it took me 8 months to become a coach. It was all these limiting beliefs, like I'm already busy enough, working 12 hours a day. I have 3 little kids under the age of 4. My wife's working at night. There's just these beliefs that I couldn't have the time or make the time to be successful, and I didn't want to fail at something in my life once again. So it took me time to get over those, but I was watching my coach Lindsay and what she was doing. I was watching everybody else, what they were doing, and I just began to emulate what they were doing with their lives, which were the 3 vital behaviors at the time. I started talking about my workouts on social media. I started listening to the books. I listened to The Slight Edge, Think and Grow Rich and Millionaire Next Door 60 times in that year prior to becoming a coach. I had them in my headphones, and those became a part of my new beliefs about myself, was listening to those things. So I was able to then, as I started, just implement those into my life by doing my workout and just sharing. Like, I would do the workout first thing in the morning, and I still do, and then I just get on a video. Video is the best way for me to express myself. I'm not very good at writing things out, so you have to find what is the best way for you to connect with someone on a social media platform, and just share what you're going through. Like right now, I get up and I do quarter force, and we do like 1 round live, and we're not very good at it, but my 10-year-old daughter and I do it, and we just give like one little nugget from the personal development that we did, and we just share it live. And then what I just do, because I want to teach you what to do with once you share that, I just go like see who commented, see who liked, and everybody that commented gets a comment reply back. Like, thanks for watching, or ask them what workout they're doing today. If I don't know who they are, they like the video or the post, I send them a message to say, hey, thanks for supporting me in this journey. It means a lot that you took the time out of your day to comment on that video this morning. And then I just look at their page, see what they're doing, and ask a question about them.
It's such a key piece that you just shared, and I hope it's not lost, is this concept of engaging. And I shared this to this group before, and Gary Vaynerchuk spoke at Summit, and I saw him at another event, and he talked about, he was on an entrepreneurial one, and he the night before had actually gone in and looked at the sites of these people that were at this event. And Gary Vaynerchuk is not reserved in how he speaks. I'm a little more reserved than that. But it was so interesting because he said he had looked like at 15 or 16 sites, and he called out this group of 400 and basically said, you guys suck. And he said, I looked at your sites last night, and he said, I saw a lot of selfish posting. It was about you. There was no engagement at all with who the people were that were following you. You need to engage. You watch me, meaning Gary Vaynerchuk. He said, I respond to all these. I engage. I find out what they want, what they're doing, what they picked up. And so he knows how to address where they are and understands the marketplace. So, other limiting beliefs. Amber.
Yeah, so when I started, I had 4 kids, 3 and under, and so I was a stay-at-home mom, never had an ambition to really have a career outside the home. And I think what I had to get over was that, first of all, it was okay for me to have something where I used my talents and skills to help other people, and to get over some of that mom guilt that you can have when you spend attention attention away from your kids. But then what I realized was I wasn't the only one. So talk about engaging. When I'm writing on social media, I'm sharing those thoughts of, this is hard some days when I have to work, where I'll share about how, my kids got into the pantry and spilled Cheerios all over, but you know what? I'm still committed to getting my workout in because I know that I need to do it for me so that I'm a better mom for them. And I think when I learned to really bring my kids into my mission, instead of it being this thing that held me back, or, that's when I was able to have the freedom to go, okay, my mission doesn't have to be within the four walls of my house. I can reach out to the world. And because of social media, I can share my story. But I think the most powerful way that I have helped others get over their limiting beliefs is by using I statements. When I post, I share how I'm feeling, because people don't like to be projected upon. But I think if you can get into their hearts and get into their minds and share what you're going through, it's going to help them get over their limiting beliefs too.
Yeah, that's a great concept, great idea. Any other limiting beliefs? Julie.
I have two that I want to share, and I think one coming from a very veteran coach, maybe like the grandma coach on the panel here. When I first came into the business, and this might be hard for some of you to believe, but there was no Shakeology, and there were very few programs.
You are.
I know. And when I came in, everyone was a P90X success story. That's a phenomenal program. It's not my program. So I had to get over the fact that I would have to be a P90X success story in order to create success of some kind in this business. That's number one. Number two, how your spouse supports you might be different than what you think it's going to be. You do not need your spouse, partner, significant other to love this business as much as you do in order to create success. Period. My husband loves me, therefore he loves what I do. I love him, so I love football. I don't need to watch ESPN Classic to support him.
Just a minute, you crossed the line.
So I think that's really key. I think a lot of people really think that they can't build this business unless they bring their spouse home, or their spouse is completely, engaged in the business. My husband has absolutely no idea what happens on Thursday mornings, which does not mean he does not support me. Does not mean it looks different. Define what you mean by support and how that looks, and make sure that you're not holding yourself back by some sort of mindset that you think that it has to look a certain way. It doesn't have to look a certain way. It has to look your way. As long as your spouse or significant other loves you, that's all that matters.
Okay, so I'm going to push back. Okay? Shocking that I would push back on you. Julie and I have this thing, but with that, I think it's very valuable. There's also some bridges and understanding that have to be established. So, because I think one of the biggest challenges couples have, as I've watched this business, is the spouse, husband or wife, trying to figure out what is this. You're pulling away from family. You're not pulling away, but you've only got so much time. 4 little kids under 4, whatever, 3 children, where you're saying, okay, I'm going to spend time over here now. Just bank on me, bet on me type thing. How did you get to that sweet spot of you do your thing, I'll do mine, but we still love each other and support each other? Yeah,
I know for us it was there's always going to be a transitional phase. I think that's what coaches struggle with, is they're like, right off the bat, their spouse doesn't understand it, they're getting some pullback, and then they're like, okay, I can't do it, it's causing friction in our marriage. That's normal. Anytime something new is coming into an equation, you're going to have to figure it out, work through it. And for me, getting my spouse to an event where he saw corporate, he saw Carl talk, he heard his passion, he heard you, he was like, I don't really understand what you do yet, but I'm on board. This is freaking cool. And so that would be something that I would suggest if your spouse hasn't seen yet what we do and doesn't get it, involve them, communicate with them, help them get in to the mission. Doesn't mean they have to do it with you or whatever, but if they understand why you have that burning fire in your belly and why you're so passionate, it's going to be easier for them to say, okay, hon, I understand why you're doing this now. So then they're going to support you a little more.
Yeah, and this is the marital session here, but I think one of the key, I've just learned so long as I do what my wife asks me to do, I'm usually in good shape. It's taken me a long time to understand that. But But I do think the piece is the communication, kind of keeping in the loop, the why, if you explain the why, the what usually makes sense. So take time to do that. Okay, any other limiting beliefs before we move on? Anybody wants to speak to? Scotty, you've got another one. Okay.
I've been a coach for 6 years, and there's even times where I'll wake up or have seasons where I feel like, should I recruit more people? Am I a good enough leader to help somebody else build a business like I've built, or to the level that they want to? And so what's really helped me overcome that is obviously doing a lot of personal development. But the thing that really helps me is understanding what it is to be a good leader, and it's being, for me, what I've identified, and what hopefully you guys can take something away from this, is saying, am I clear on my goals and purpose and the reason behind doing Beachbody coaching? And then the next one that's helped me overcome that is I just define myself as a good leader as long as I am starting and finishing programs, drinking my Shakeology every day, doing personal development, inviting and celebrating other people's progress and success. I tell them, my coaches that struggle with that, and myself, if I'm doing those things every single day, then I am a good coach. I'm a good coach to anybody that will join the team. So if you're struggling with that, I believe just kind of understanding that, if you decide to make that decision to do that, and I guess a daily action you could do is just look at yourself in the mirror every night and say, if my coaches did what I did today, with the actions and the mindset, would they be successful? Would their life improve? And if the answer is yes to that, then you're a great coach, and you should invite everybody to your journey.
Yeah, Scott, that's a great answer. And Scott is many of you may not know Scotty very well, but I think he's a great example in so many ways. He lives in a small town, Idaho Falls, but as often as not, so does Mike, as a matter of fact. But Scotty, half the time you get him on the phone, if he picks up on the phone, he's in an elk stand at some tree, spotting elk, posting, shh, a big one's coming, and he's practicing self-development while he does that. So let's talk about rabbit holes, talking about animals for a minute. So as you look at new coaches, and as you look back on your careers as coaches so far, what do you see, looking back, what rabbit holes did you see yourself going down that you wish you hadn't gone down, or that you see newer coaches go, oh, I'm going to go do this because this looks, cool, and you're going, no, save yourself some pain, don't go down that hole. Amy.
I love this topic. There's a lot of them, a lot of rabbit holes that you can go down. But two. Okay. First one is definitely looking at other people and thinking you need to do what they do to be successful. There is the guideline, like Scotty said, like if if you're doing these things at the end of the day and you feel like you're doing the right thing, then your team is going to do the right thing. But you don't need to look and act and dress a certain way to be successful. And I think sometimes, I know I felt that issue when 6 years ago, I'm not a veteran, but I'm kind of old. And it was really big, turbo was really big. And I thought I had to be a turbo girl, and I thought I had to be like plat, and I thought a platinum presenter, and it's just like, because there were certain teams that were very big back then. They're still big, but it was just a smaller company. And it was really hard to trust myself and trust my intuition that I could just be Amy, I could just be me. And the second rabbit hole is definitely just, I love on my team and I love I love everybody, and I invest a lot of time and energy into them, but at the same time it's like you have to grow that thick skin with people and understand that this is a business, and sometimes people are not going to see it through, and that people come and go, and that's okay, and it doesn't dictate your success, and it doesn't dictate how you are as a leader or you as whatever. It doesn't define you. Other people's choices and what they decide to do does not define you at all. It's all them, and you just, there's one bit of advice that I can give you guys is just love the people who want to love you, but understand that if somebody doesn't want to work the business, that you have to let that go, and you have to just focus on the people who want it. And as humans, we have a tendency to gravitate towards negativity, and if you can just not pay attention to all the bad things, the negative things that are going on, and pay attention to the positive things and the people that want to do this, you'll be so much happier, and your business will thrive, and your team, the ones who deserve your attention, will be all that more successful as well.
So, another comment coming, but so easy to say, but in those moments, in those moments of transitioning, of trying to filter out who those people are. Do you have any insights on that? I know there's no magic wand you can wave, but in questions you ask or benchmarks that you set or anything that you use as a guide to, is it one of those discussions that you say, understanding where are you really? Do you want to run with me, or is it, hey, love you, but I'm moving forward? Any thoughts on that?
I think naturally it happens from people showing up. So the people on my team, obviously we have big organizations, we can manage it because we put our time and attention into those who are showing up. If you sign up with me, I don't care what your goals are. If your goals are to go full time, to just do it as a hobby, if you're showing up in my groups and I'm seeing your face and you're in my challenge, I'm gonna love and support you just as much as I would someone who wants to go all in and with the business. But if you are MIA and not we can't babysit. So that's where, if my people want my time and attention, they show up. They're in the team page, they're on the team calls, they're in the threads, they're where my time and attention goes. So if you're out there and you're feeling like you're not supported, don't blame, look at what you're doing and see what you can do better to be supported.
How do people know that, this is to the group, but how do people know that you're actually not just posting your fitness results and you love fitness and you love Shakeology, but there's actually a business that you are pursuing?
Can I jump in for that? So it goes back to Gary. He talks about the jab, jab, right hook, and that changed my life, you guys. I had no idea how I was supposed to attract people to my business. And when he put it into play to say, okay, every single day you need to put a jab about your business, meaning share what it's doing for you guys, how it's changed your life, what it feels like to be a coach. Sharing that every single day, and then strategically putting a hook. So the hook is when you actually share an invite to the business. And when I started doing that and actually saying, okay, Monday through Friday I do a jab, and then on Sunday night I'm gonna put a hook. And I noticed what days, the hooks are a hook, you guys, but when I noticed what days were doing well, I saw that people were starting to respond to my posts. So if you're doing it right and you're sharing every single day, guys, people are going to gravitate towards you. And I do have to shout out my upline, Janelle. She came up with the uppercut? Follow up, you guys. I think a lot of times coaches get scared to hear that no, but if you have people in limbo, your job is to get a yes or no. Okay, so if you're doing your jabs, your hooks, and your uppercuts, you're going to be attracting people to your business.
Yeah, so if I'm sitting in the audience, this is one of those, lots of things I'd be taking down, but what I love about this is the intentional nature of that, where you're saying jab, 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 and you know what those are, you know what those look like, the foundation, and then you know what the hook is, and there's an intentionalness about that that will increase your productivity on that. So you've got to be thoughtful about this. Tara, I think you were going to say something earlier.
Yeah, well, I can okay, so one thing, the rabbit hole thing. I know as a new coach, I was all over the place, and I got caught up in what everyone else was doing, and Mike is my success partner, thank God, because I would be like, oh, she's doing that, we should totally do that, that sounds like a good idea. Oh no, maybe we should do that, and I was in too many things. So when you're doing that, you're not intentional with any of them. So I really think having a specific news feed for those people you want to connect with is a great thing on Facebook. Also, taking on, planning your month. Okay, this is what we're doing this month, this is what we're concentrating on with your team or with your challenge group, and just doing it month by month and not having to be in everything. My biggest thing is with my coaches, they're like, oh, there's too many groups. I don't know which one to post in. And I try to say, okay, listen, focus on this one. That's it. Because you don't want all your eggs in all these baskets, because you're never going to move out of where you're at. You need to be focused on one thing at a time and grow from there. So definitely as a newer coach, or even or us older, I'm always learning not to be a part of all of these things, but focus on one thing at a time.
Any others?
What I found was that once I started recruiting coaches, you get to Emerald, or you get to Diamond, or you're in between Emerald and Diamond, and all of a sudden you have a little team, and it can be really easy to slip into management mode, because you think, all right, I'm going to train my coaches, I'm going to help my coaches, and you take a little of that focus off of actually recruiting new people, and it will bite you in the butt because people, like I said, people don't stick around. And so constantly to be keeping your mindset, I front load my power hour with the stuff that's going to move my business forward. Because posting to challenge groups, that kind of thing, that's the fun part for me. I mean, the uncomfortable pieces to keep my business going to the next level is how I prevent myself from getting to management one. I think especially when I see from my coaches and they get to diamond, it's like, oh yes, I got there. And they take a little step back, and you have to just continually share and recruit, because management mode, once you realize you're in management mode, it's too late. You're like, shoot. And so I would just keep moving the train forward.
Yeah, one thing you should also be watching if you're in the audience is you should watch the heads of the people on the stage. And if they're going like this, someone going like that, yeah, that point, you should know that maybe is a clue on this. Julie.
Yeah, just again from a veteran coach standpoint too, when I became a coach and the business was so new, I kind of messed around with it for 8 months and didn't do anything with it. So I think a catch or a rabbit hole is don't wait. And none of you are waiting because that's why you're here, but I bet you have people on your team who are. And we're all waiting for the perfect moment, or waiting for us to lose weight so that we can share, or waiting to get to the end of the 60 days or whatever it is. And all that is time that we're missing out on sharing this journey with someone else who might need it at that point. So if I could have those 8 months back, I would, but they're part of my journey and it is what it is. But if you're waiting for that perfect moment or that piece where you're at your goal weight, you're wasting time. So don't wait.
And so many of you saying this, I'm going to go into dad mode type deal here, but you're talking about don't wait, and I was thinking about my kids. We love to water ski, and I'm famous for just basically going to my kids at about age 4, I throw them into the water. You're a horrible parent, you scar them for life. But it's interesting. We get them in the water and get them success. What I do with my kids, I throw them in the water, but then I'm patient enough to stick with them to get them up. And every one of my kids will tell you this story that, I hated you. It was so hard, it was this and that, and they cry. And then right now, as they start to have kids, there's this piece of, I am so grateful that I got in the water and I started going. And as you think about coaches, you've got to do that to yourself. You've got to jump. But then you've also got to find a way to immerse your new coaches into the business and give them a win and be patient enough with them so that you can create some quick wins along the way that they're realizing some success. But you got to stop getting ready to get ready, type of a thing. That's just a kiss of death in this business, for sure. Let's talk about social media for a minute. What do you think that the most effective tactic, approach, you talked a little bit about the jab, 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 right hook, the thing that you do on social media that this group could benefit from, or a newer coach could benefit from? And maybe even a new coach that say, I'm just this new member, I'm a new diamond, I've got 12 people on my team. What can I do?
Go live. I want to see how many hands of people who have actually gone live on a social media platform. Okay, you guys, going live is the quickest way to connect with people because they get to see your face, they get to hear your voice, they get to interact with you. So something that I do on my social media is I'm asking them questions as I go along, whatever I'm sharing with them, and kind of doing a call to action for them to comment below the video, because then even after that live video is done, that video continues to grow for me and I get more followers. And I keep looking at the video, I keep responding back to the comments, and it creates this cycle of new people to your page. So make it a goal to go at least 4 times per week live, because Facebook's going to be, I'm pretty sure, all live by 2019.
Others? Amber.
I think there always has to be a filter before you push the post button. And the filter that I use is, what's in it for the person that's going to see this picture? What's in it for the person that's going to read this post? And if it's not selfish, it's usually a good post. But if I can, and I've had times where I'm like, oh yeah, this is a really selfish post. I really want to post it, but I can't, And so I think just to constantly ask yourself, what's in it for them? And also, it helps you to be a little bit more brave, because a lot of times what can hold you back on social media is thinking about what other people are going to think of you. But if you can think, what's in it for them? How can I add value to their life? It motivates me to share more. So.
Okay, great. Other comment?
I know for me in social media, one of the limiting beliefs that I thought of when you were asking that was the fact that I always felt like I don't have a cool story. Like I didn't overcome all these struggles. I didn't do anything from here to get to where I am. It's just kind of been this like gradual, consistent thing. And I think that's come from me just sharing consistently my journey. What I'm going through, what I'm dealing with, the good, the bad, the whatever, and showing up consistently because people know, oh, there's Micah, she's showing up again, she's doing her workout. And you can get creative, you can do it different ways. You don't have to post the same sweaty selfie every morning, then they hide you. But show up with the vitals. If I have new coaches that are like, there's no way I can post 3 times a day. I don't post on social media. I'm like, you need to work out, post something about it. You need to do your personal development, post something about it. And you do life. Post something about your life that day. And that gives you a guideline. One, you're going to be a positive light. You're going to stand out amongst the negativity that they're seeing. Every single day, they're going to see you showing up for your health and fitness. They're going to see you being positive, putting out that positive energy. And that's what attracts the right people who you want to surround yourself with in a business like this.
Okay, any others?
Well, everybody said great stuff. So one thing that I can add to that is one thing that I started to do to really set my social media apart, because I did struggle with, in the beginning I would just copy what other coaches were doing and it felt icky and just fake to me. So one thing that I started doing was I started following people who weren't coaches who were very successful with social media. And this is a very big gold nugget that I'm telling you guys, but I would just find other social media, people who are successful with their jobs on social media, travel bloggers, models, fashion bloggers, anybody who has a social media business. And I would emulate what they were doing. And while I had my story and a product and, I was able to be me, I was also finding other people that I could get creative influence from and to be more creative with my social media and try different things and see what worked in a way that I could express myself, because I have a visual communication background and creative background as an art student. And so I wanted to be able to be creative and artistic, but I also struggled with talking about Beachbody. So I found a way to meld the two, which is like my own personal brand, but that's how I came into my personal brand without having to be, I wanted to be a leader, I wanted to be different, I didn't want to look like everybody else, and so that was one of the things that I did.
Yeah, what a great comment. I think a couple of words that come to mind that are just below the surface of all of that is there's a curiosity there that I've seen with all successful leaders. There's this curiosity to learn, and you've got to be willing to do that. The other one is, this is a Gary Vaynerchukism, is that he's agnostic, meaning this: he doesn't look at one channel, one profession to learn from, and he's willing to best practice wherever it is and take that principle, that practice, and apply it to where we are. And that's what you're saying. I think that's so key. But if you're not curious, you're not going to grow. And I think that's been manifest in your business. I think the other piece that you guys have shared is this consistency. I remember, Amy, we were at camp in San Diego, and we were talking about social media or something, and kind of the idea that people look and sometimes go, oh, you got to get overnight, and your response was, you're like, yes. They said, this is like taking 4 years, 5 years of consistency, so people see me and building my brand and figuring it out along the way. So, and Scotty, you're great on social as well. There's a wealth up here. Let's talk. We've got about 15 minutes left, and we're going to cut you guys loose. From the standpoint of this is a great business, and we'd love to all, my phrase always is, Beachbody should be your life, but it should give you a life. Okay? But as we do this, life comes at us in very real ways. It sometimes smacks us in the face in ways we would have never imagined. How do you guys, over the years of your experience, how have you managed to deal with life, the headwinds, and keep a business going and be a successful business? Tara's gonna go first. She grabbed that mic.
Well, last year at Summit, I had something that happened suddenly to me. My father passed away, and it was a shock. I was there, and I had to pull myself together. I had to leave, but I feel like Beachbody has given us the tools to survive things and come out stronger than ever. If it wasn't for Beachbody and my vital behaviors and my team and showing up every day, because that became a habit, I don't know if I could have moved forward. And I just, these are the things, this company is so powerful in changing people's lives, not just through health and fitness, in so many other ways. If we just have it become a habit in our daily routine, like the tools, the personal development, all of those things got me out of bed in the morning after this happened. My team helped me show up. The people watching me on social media helped me just keep posting, and even sharing the story, my journey with it, help people come to me, and that's when healing happens. So you guys, no matter what you're going through, where we all have our ups and downs, we all have things that happen, especially if you have a family and there's always tough things you're going through. But sharing that with others, know that there's so many other people that are experiencing the same thing, and you can be a light in their lives and help them get through those tough times. So Beachbody has been a saving grace in my life because of that.
Julie?
How do you follow that? I mean, that's so powerful. There's nothing more powerful than that, and I think that that's what makes what we do so special, in that when you stay close to the fire and something comes in your life, because it's not like building success is ever easy, and it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. There's plateaus, as we talk about all the time, and people that build success don't do it just when it's convenient or just when it's easy. You build it because you have a greater desire in you to create something that lives on after you, and the community that you create and the team that you create gets you through those times. But if you step away from it, you back away from the fire, and you back away from that community, that tribe, it's so hard to re-engage. Even though we're waiting for them to come back, our hands are extended, it is so challenging to re-engage. And while something might be happening in life that requires you to recalibrate a little bit, or tweak your engagement, or tweak your involvement, or whatever that might be a little bit, never stepping away from it, because the people that were in your life at that point in time, that's your family. Those are the most powerful, that tribe that you created. And if you would have taken a step back from that, would it have been as powerful or as healing? Probably not. That's the key. That's what makes what we do so special and so different.
It's hard though.
Can I add
Amy,
one more
yes.
thing? I share a lot about my struggles, but I have so many struggles. So much stuff and baggage that I don't share a lot of it. You think oh my God, there's more, but there is lots more. And we all have skeletons in the closet, and not all of us want to share all of that. And I tell my team sometimes, people come to me I don't want to talk about this. I'm like, you don't have to talk about it. You can pick and choose what you feel comfortable talking about. And when I go through things, because it's been 6 years, I've gone through things, sometimes just faking it till I make it, and just doubling down on the core vitals and just doing my workouts, concentrating on my nutrition, doing my personal development, even if I don't want to, and I don't feel like it, and I don't feel successful because I just have all this limiting stuff going on in my head. One day you'll wake up and it just passes. And your business doesn't suffer because of it. Nobody notices, nobody knows, everybody just thinks everything's fine and dandy as usual. And it doesn't mean that you're lying, it just means that you are just doing your best with what you got at the moment. And that's all you really gotta do. You don't have to be awesome all the freaking time. You just need to show up, even if it's doesn't feel that great, you're still going to be able to wake up with a business that you don't have to completely restart over, because that's the hardest part, is restarting and rebuilding the momentum.
Great ad. We had on the last wave, Rosa Friesen she's the new Elite 10 coach from Canada, and she's had a year where she's had 3 family members that have been diagnosed with cancer, and I was interested to see what she was going to say on this. And she her catchphrase, if you will, was, nobody benefits if you quit. on this. And then she gave a lot of content. I can't share all that she shared, but it dawned on me. Yeah, you've got sometimes it's one day at a time, but people want to help you get through it, and it does come. But I think that's part of having clarity in your goals, having clarity with your purpose, and just showing up, when you can. Okay.
Yeah, something really fast.
Yes.
Really fast. It's kind of like praying. Like when you don't feel like you want to pray, you need to pray. And so I feel like with the business, when you get that inkling to step back and to say, I'm out, I can't do this, you gotta lean in. You gotta lean in, you gotta do the essentials. That doesn't mean you have to spend 12 hours on your business. When crap is happening, when you're dealing with stuff, when you're so overwhelmed, you can do the essentials and still be moving your business forward through all the junk and through everything. And like you said, you can have a thriving business on your way out when the stuff clears. But do the essentials no matter what. And when you get into that routine, when it's your normal, when it's your lifestyle, when it's your habit, when you don't go to bed without getting it done, you will have a thriving business.
Another great ad. So I'm going to give everyone a chance. We're going to do speed dating here as we close, so to speak. But I think one of the key pieces, and Carl certainly alluded to this, and we some people have gone, but I think the key here is, as you walk out of this room after these guys, and I know we're going to share some nuggets, is okay, so what? Okay? And you got to create a moment of truth. You got to create that decision moment of saying, I heard some invaluable information from some of the most successful coaches in the business. And we all know that success leaves clues, failures leave clues, because you learn what not to do. But then you've got to walk out of here and say, okay, so what? What did I hear that I'm going to put into practice? What's my decision? What's my action item around that? Or you've spent an hour that was nice, but not productive for you when all is said and done. So please, my challenge, my invitation to you is make this moment worth it for you and for your coaches and for your business, because there's some great shares that you can take from here. Okay, here's the speed round, if you will, but I want it to be thoughtful. So what I'd like you to do, we'll go, Scotty, we're going to start with you. We're going to work down to Julie. If we have enough time left, Julie, I'm going to let you speak. Just kind of take a minute. You've got a timer up here. Take 1 minute. The one thing that we haven't talked about, you said, here's the one nugget. Here's the one piece that I would like this group to know that matters. So.
Okay, I'll go fast with a minute time.
No. You don't have to be fast, but.
Okay, first of all, guys, step it up. That's a limiting belief. So it's time for you guys to start working a little bit harder with more belief. I think, too, I'm going to talk about the holes that you get yourself into. The first one is I've always been a hard worker, and I work alone. I just do things on my own. I don't need anybody to hold my hand or to hold me accountable. So I felt that everybody else could do that. I've been fortunate enough to power through 6 years of very hard times on my own. And just recently, I've realized that not everybody can do that. And sometimes people it's not as fun to do it alone. And I've been working more closely together with my coaches. 1 week planning sneak peeks, 1 week running sneak peeks, 1 week planning, and it's been so much more fun for me working together with them. So don't work alone. That's one thing that's really helped me, is like everybody wants to be a part of something, and if you're sitting in your office at your home working alone, it's not going to be fun for that long. So that's one of the biggest keys that I want to give you guys. And the other one I forgot, I'm going to be honest. And hurry. Okay. And I forgot it. I totally forgot. Give me a second. I don't remember. But I think it's important to remember that, like, to put this business into perspective. Like, for me, it's always, when it seems hard, I think about how hard it would have been to sit in a cubicle for 12 hours a day for the next 35 years, to hopefully have enough to retire. Like, put into perspective your life. Will you have money to pay for your daughter's wedding, or help them go to college? When they want to go to college, are you going to be able to tell them yes to those things? And when I look at this business, sometimes I think it might be a little bit hard. I think about those things. I think, it's not really that hard to work out, engage with people on social media, talk to them on the phone, invite them on this journey with me. So sometimes putting into perspective, if you do that, I guarantee you'll put 10 times more effort into this business.
Thanks, Scotty. Matt.
I'll go really fast. So everyone has a sign-up date and a start date. For me, they were 2 years apart. Okay, so if you're sitting in there thinking, oh my gosh, I am not anywhere near where I want to be in this business, That's okay, you guys. If you talk to probably